Wolfgang Koester is CEO of Fireapps, which helps companies hedge for swings in the currency markets. Wolfgang, great to have you once again here on Fast Forward. Well, you know, so many things have changed, but many things have stayed the same since you were last on. We seem to be constantly or perpetually waiting for some resolution in Greece. What are your clients most concerned about now, and what are you focused on most?
It's really about the restructuring. It's really looking at, okay, even if Greece gets a confidence and gets another 17 billion, they're going to look for another 100 billion. So what they're really looking at is the euro really as in its current state a sustainable currency, and people is the corporate foreign exchange or corporations are really saying less and less likely. We need to be prepared. We need to understand what that's going to look like. And what they're really worried about is, unlike many markets, this happens like this. I mean, just like, you know, the euro was very easy the way it was done. It was very predictable. Well, when this breaks up, it happens the minute that all of a sudden Merkel says we're pulling out. It's over. And so that's what they're afraid of.
What does over look like? Does that mean a euro that collapses? Does that mean a euro that goes higher? I mean, you have a number of currency strategists, currency analysts scratching their heads over all movements in the dollar as well as the euro.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So that's the key question, is what's it going to look like. I believe what it's going to look like is you have a couple currencies. You have one currency that's going to be the core of the euro, Germany, France, maybe some of the Benelux countries. And what that's going to do is actually start rising the new currency, which is going to be run by the Deutschmark and by the French franc, and then you have the other currencies is in there, and that's what this is going to start looking like. So a new euro, and that's going to be very nervous for the market.
Let's talk about some of the companies that are going to be impacted by this, or could potentially be impacted by this. I know a couple that you pointed out were companies like Alcoa and Timberland. Why is that, and how should they be positioning themselves?
Well, it's interesting. There are companies that really do a good job of understanding their currency exposures, and you see how important that is right now. What's the euro look like if it breaks up and goes to different currencies? What do all these currencies mean to me tomorrow? There are companies who do it well, and then companies like an Alcoa and a Timberland that have historically not really cared too much about it. And I believe that that shows up in two areas. One, and not as strong as a balance sheet, which shows up in their share price. And secondly, not really as predictable of a cash flow. Timberland is a great example of that. We talked about that a while ago, and when we talked about it, I said, look, watch this company. Balance sheet is weakening on this, predictability is doing. As you just saw, they were just acquired by VF Corporation. If I was a shareholder of Timberland, I'd be a bit upset. Alcoa, there are interesting areas there. One is, what are the currencies involved there? And secondly is, they're really early in the earnings seasons, right? So they always talk about how earnings impacted them. Them not doing the great job and really not focusing on it really sets the stage for the market.
Now, companies that are currency agnostic, be companies like a Google and an Accenture, are they actually paying close attention to what is happening in Greece at this point? Or do they just hedge themselves so they're sort of dollar neutral?
They really have no opinion on where currencies go. They understand that they have a core business and currencies is not their core business. So they say, we need to still watch it. They certainly do, but they are well positioned to not be significantly impacted, whether the euro goes way up, as it is inexplicably to me doing today, or whether it goes down significantly, down to maybe a 1 level, which some people are calling for.
What are the key dates that you're watching over the next couple of months?
So obviously today is a big date, and then the retranche is in July, and then we're actually looking at September, what's going to happen with the Italian debt as well. So looking at some of the refinancing Portugal, because we're going to see a little bit of what we saw about a year ago, which people are forgetting a little too fast about, is Portugal, then came Ireland again, then comes Italy, then comes Spain. Those PIGS countries, we need to keep watching. It's getting worse, not better.
Wolfgang, always a pleasure to have you on, giving us insight to what is happening. Of course, everyone's keeping their eyes, as you said, focused very closely right now on Greece. That was Wolfgang Koester, CEO of Fireapps.